The night Julian broke up with me in a fit of pique, I bought a ticket and moved away, suitcase in one hand, my unborn child in my womb. To hell with that lousy man, I was done. Mommy, where's my daddy? Your daddy's sacrifice. What's sacrificed? It means he's dead. Everyone in Riverdale knew Julian had a volcanic temper. Everyone except me, or so I'd believed. But the moment his first love came back, Julian changed. Breakup it is, then. One sentence, and I vanished for 5 years. For 5 years, Julian chased after me like a madman. Skylar, I was wrong. Even if I'm just a stand-in, don't make me leave. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. In the bathroom, I clutched the pregnancy test, the 2 crimson lines glaring up at me. Pregnant, how? Months ago, I would have flown to Julian, bursting with joy to announce it. Now only dread knotted my stomach. I brushed a hand over my belly and sighed. I no longer knew what, if anything, Julian felt for me. In the living room, the wall clock read 1:53 a.m. He still wasn't home. I'd lost count of the nights he'd stayed away since Miranda returned. We'd been together more than 3 years, and I'd never worried about the gossip claiming Miranda was his white moonlight. Skylar, I need to talk tonight. Skylar, when are you coming back? Skylar, can you please answer? Skylar, are you even planning to come home? Message after message sank without reply on WhatsApp. The first went out at 3 in the afternoon. The last half an hour ago. The shred of hope I still clung to eroded, grain by grain, until only numbness remained. Miss, why don't you go up and sleep? No, I'll wait. Don't fuss over me, Mrs. Harris. The night stretched, desolate. I sat on the sofa in thin pajamas, back straight, doing nothing except waiting for Julian. Or perhaps for the moment my love for him finally flatlined. Memories of happier days flickered through my mind. My eyes burned. At 3:30 a.m., an engine rumbled outside. Why are you still awake? I rubbed my tingling fingers. Every word I'd rehearsed jammed in my throat. Too heavy to swallow, too sharp to spit out. Where were you? His gaze swept over me without lingering. Busy at Voss. A lie, his secretary had already told me he'd left the office. Voss keeps you that busy. Julian's chest tightened. Miranda's voice echoed from months ago. I saw Skylar's ex abroad. He looks a lot like you. Just saying, people have types, right? Maybe Skylar, forget it, don't overthink. Julian had never dared ask. He had someone dig instead. The photos showed a man who could have been his distant cousin. Skylar's startled expression the first day they met replayed in his mind, flaying his pride. You wouldn't understand the company. He strode toward the stairs, done talking. A mocking smile tugged at my lips. Julian, why didn't you show up the day we were supposed to get married at City Hall? The question I'd buried finally clawed its way out. Ever since that day, things between us had slipped. He paused. Client meeting. I told you. I stood. Client meetings every night? You couldn't spare 5 minutes for a license? When he chased after me, he ditched tycoons without blinking. I hadn't believed the excuse then. I'd waited for a real explanation. Skylar, are you sure you actually want to marry me? I know you bailed on the movie last month because Miranda called. Tears threatened. I kept my voice steady. There'd been plenty of other nights, silent cancellations I'd felt in my bones. Maybe I had to hear the words to accept the guillotine. At last he said, I promised her brother I'd look after her. My heart tore. So, these nights you've been at St. Mary's with her? Do you have to keep pushing? Choose, her or me. My palm rested protectively over my stomach while I waited for the verdict. Julian frowned, judged me hysterical, and climbed the stairs without another word. He spent the night in the study. I lay awake in bed, tears slipping cold across my temples. I thought of my parents. In my few childhood memories, they were always screaming, "Can't stand it? Let's divorce." Never. I'll die before I let that woman in this house. They'd died together in the crash, my mother's oath unbroken. Next morning, drifting downstairs, I caught snippets of his call. Miranda, what is it? Okay, I'm on my way. Disappointment tasted like rust. He was leaving for her. The answer he'd refused to give last night rang out in action. If you walk out that door to the hospital, we're done. The physician on the line warned him Miranda had deteriorated. Before her brother died, he'd begged Julian to protect her. He couldn't ignore that. Skylar, don't make a scene. He reached for the handle. I repeated, calm as cracked glass. Go. And we break up. Break up it is then. The slam shook the chandelier. I collapsed on the cold marble steps, sobbing. It's okay, little one, mommy's taking you away. I tried to wipe my face, but tears outran my hands, smearing mascara into a grotesque mask. Back in the bedroom, I fixed my makeup at the vanity, then hauled 2 dusty suitcases from the closet. Nothing Julian bought traveled with me. The ruby engagement ring he'd slid onto my finger lay abandoned on the mirrored tray, useless now that the wedding was dust. Mrs. Harris gasped at the sight of my luggage. Quinn, where are you going? The young master will panic. I forced a smile and rolled the bags toward the door. He won't. He'd chosen Miranda. I chose dignity. At St. Mary's, the attending said Miranda was stable. Julian exhaled, but the tightness in his chest stayed. He and Skylar had really fought for the first time. Call me if you need anything. I've got to get to Voss. I'm scared to be alone, Julian. Stay a little longer. Miranda clutched his sleeve, and he pictured Skylar in the mansion, eyes blazing. Would she even care if he stayed out? Did her jealousy mean she still loved him? Doctors are right outside. You'll be fine. He spent 3 nights at the office, then raided a gift boutique, stuffing the Bentley with designer scarves, perfume, peonies, anything a woman might forgive. The living room was empty, the garden bare. He crept into the bedroom. No Skylar sunbathing on the chaise. The walk-in closet gaped, half deserted. The ruby ring flashed on the dresser like an alarm. She was really gone. Eastbrook. I rocked in the wicker chair by the bay window, sunlight pooling on the pine floor. Orphaned young, hopeless at business, I'd watched my uncle take the reins after grandfather died. This cottage had been my mother's. The deed was her last gift. Girl, you seriously planning to raise his kid solo? He's my child. Nothing to do with that man. The decision was mine, made with eyes open, wallet ready, heart braced. At 5 months, my bump announced itself unambiguously. Wendy hacked an apple to death for me. That bastard deserves castration. Remember the dinosaur necklace he bid on for you? The freaking cake he learned to bake. Each utterance of Julian's name shaved flesh from my heart. I rubbed my belly. Apple faster, I'm starving. She whittled furiously. I'm carving at the speed of light. Pregnancy granted me backaches, narcolepsy, nightmares. That night, Julian invaded my dreams again. At first it was bliss. Miranda never came back. Julian adored me. Love is real, Skylar. Don't let childhood ghosts win. We married at dawn outside City Hall, later a squalling, perfect baby. Then the reel snapped. Julian snarled, slammed doors, vanished. The Shaws. Miranda needs me. Why can't you understand? I can't. Our baby's sick and I'm alone. He needs his father. I became my mother, clawing at his sleeve while he wrenched free. Julian's phone wouldn't stop ringing. I could guess it was Miranda calling. I have to get to the hospital right now, Skylar. Don't be unreasonable. I reached to snatch the phone, tears spilling like snapped pearls. I even collapsed and begged on my knees, but Julian still walked away. Staring at his retreating back, I seemed to see my father slamming the door when I was little. Julian's silhouette merged with the memory of my father's. Julian, 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 I murmured, drenched in sweat, and woke to the sight of the room, only then realizing it had been a dream. Perhaps because the dream had felt so real, a tear still clung to the corner of my eye. Every detail remained vivid. In the dream, Julian had chosen Miranda and abandoned me once again. Time flew, for more months passed. One summer day, I gave birth to a boy. I named him Caleb, nickname Leo. In this world, besides uncle and cousin, my third blood relative had arrived. Wendy, he's so ugly. I'm claiming godmotherhood. I'm a graphic novelist and can work from home. Before Caleb was born, I already disliked going out. After he arrived, leaving became impossible. He was born frail, probably because my pregnancy had been steeped in bad moods. I hired 2 nannies to care for him in shifts, and with Wendy pitching in, things finally eased. This went on until Leo turned 5 and started Little Sprouts Academy. You're really taking Leo back to Riverdale? What if someone spots you? It's cousin's wedding. Besides, I can't stay away from Riverdale forever. Because of the wedding, Uncle called, and I decided to bring Leo for a few days. Looking at the little beans sprawled on the sofa, I can't pretend I'm not afraid of running into Julian. When he was newborn, his wrinkly face gave no clues, but the older he gets, the more he resembles Julian. I often find myself staring at him, drifting back to my years in Riverdale. Mommy, where's Riverdale? It's where Mommy grew up. Leo crawled toward me step by tiny step, nodded as if he understood, then hesitantly asked, "Is Daddy there too?" The word Daddy exploded in my head. I've never mentioned his father. Since Leo learned to talk, he's never said Daddy either. Leo, why do you think Daddy would be in Riverdale? Xuanxuan's Mommy and Daddy pick her up together every day. Leo is growing up. He's starting to grasp what a daddy is. Every family should have one, yet ours only has Mommy. Mommy, why don't we have a daddy? Mommy. When I stayed silent, he called again. He'll learn the truth sooner or later. I can't let him feel different. I pulled him into a tight hug, ruffled his hair, and chose my words carefully. Leo, you do have a daddy. He just can't be here. Why can't Daddy be here? The little guy blinked up at me, utterly lost. Your daddy sacrificed. What's sacrificed? Leo is only 5. Death is still an abstract idea. A white lie feels kinder than telling him his father was a jerk. It can also teach him what death means. It means he died. You'll never see him. Never ever. Mommy, you mustn't die. Leo has to see Mommy every day. I froze, expecting tears or tantrums, but got this instead. I hugged him tighter, comforted. Don't worry, Leo. You'll have Mommy for a long, long time. His small fist clutched my shirt. Mommy can't leave Leo. I smiled. Then my lashes dropped as thoughts of a certain man crept in. My childhood held only the silhouette of a father. I know exactly what a healthy family means to a child. Will Leo be sad without a daddy? The little bean shook his head without hesitation. Nope. Leo has Mommy, that's enough. To him, a daddy is just a piece of the family puzzle. Xuanxuan's dad, after all, only picks her up. National Day break began. I flew home with my child. When we landed, I wrapped Leo in mask and hat, terrified someone would recognize us. Wendy had mentioned that Julian still asks about me now and then. Leo, come get your cash from Uncle Jordan. The moment Chase saw Leo at the reception, he shoved a bulging red envelope into his tiny hand. Bro, he doesn't need money. It's the thought of being an uncle, not the cash. From a distance, Jaden snapped a photo and dropped it into the old crew group chat. Jaden, holy crap, I think this woman might be Skylar. S, you can't tell Jack from that blur. L, looks female at least. A, Julian himself wouldn't recognize her. One message stuck out. F, I'm on my way. G? Dude, how do you even know where we are? Jaden scratched his head. How did Julian know? Julian didn't reply. He'd guessed Skylar would show for Chase's wedding and had people watching both the airport and the venue. The second she appeared, his phone buzzed. Mommy, so much yummy food. Leo's eyes sparkled at the buffet I usually forbade. I nodded, letting him fill his plate. Just this once. Mommy, Leo wants a straw. Okay, I'll ask the server. I stood up, and my smile froze. The man looked exactly as I remembered, only sharper, calmer, 5 years more mature. He stood 3 yards away, his burning gaze fixed on me. Instinctively, I stepped in front of Leo, shielding him. Mommy, what's wrong? The single word, Mommy, jerked Julian's eyes downward. He'd heard rumors I'd arrived with a child and assumed his people were mistaken. Yet here I was, and the boy had called me Mommy. Answers clicked in his mind. Fear lodged in his throat. I tried to look calm, but my trembling hands betrayed me. Our reunion was brutally abrupt. We stared, frozen, neither stepping forward. Mommy, Leo needs that straw. Leo peeked out, tugging my hem, pulling me back to earth. I clasped his hand, refusing to let an inch of space open between us. "I'll get the server." Julian recovered first, pivoting to flag a waitress. He wasn't afraid I'd bolt. From the instant I'd set foot in Riverdale, escape was impossible. When he presented the straw to Leo, my mind howled a single thought. It's over. Everything is over. "Mommy, can I take the straw from the uncle?" Leo sized Julian up, tempted but remembering my warning about strangers. Julian lifted his eyes to me, a storm inside. Relief, terror, pleading. "Leo, you can't drink too much milk." "No milk today." My first reaction was cruel. Confusion plastered itself across his face. He couldn't grasp the sudden ban. "But Mommy said milk makes me tall yesterday." Big boys drank from the glass, no straw needed. Julian understood. I was blocking every bridge between him and my son. Chase, spotting Julian, panicked. For years Julian had pried for news of me, always sent away empty-handed, and now we were face to face. "We need to talk. There's nothing to discuss." I shot him down flat. We'd broken up. End of story. Leo is mine alone. No one is taking him. Not in front of the child. Julian's low voice carried a naked threat. I glared, then surrendered. Handing Leo to Uncle, I followed Julian into the stairwell. "Say what you want fast." "He's mine, isn't he?" Julian needed confirmation. If I denied, he still wouldn't believe. Guilt flickered, but memories steeled me. "No." I knew him well enough to read the certainty already carved on his face. "He's ours." A statement, not a question. I almost laughed. "Julian, where do you get this confidence?" The audacity. Waltzing in to claim a son, as if he hadn't been the one who walked. I was wrong, all of it. I looked everywhere. "These years without you have been hell." He took a step, shrinking the space between us. I retreated, on guard. I'd never imagined Julian apologizing first. His temper is legendary in our circle. Even when we dated, he'd never said sorry outright, just gifts and stubborn trailing. "We're broken up." I never agreed. The word breakup flips his panic switch. The biggest regret of his life is uttering that word to me the night I left. "You ended us, Julian. You don't get to veto a now." Seeing how firm I was, Julian dropped the subject of getting back together. Remembering the little boy, he asked, "His name is Leo?" "None of your business." Leo is my soft spot. If Julian tries to take him from me, it will kill me. "Skylar, your temper's gotten worse." Julian's voice softened, almost whimpering, like he was the one wronged. I'd never seen him like this. "Your skin's gotten thicker, too." He didn't get angry. He wouldn't dare lose his temper with me. If I ran again, he'd lose his mind. "Why didn't you tell me back then? Why did you leave with Leo?" "He's not your son." We'd already broken up. Why would I announce it? Dream on if he thinks he can claim fatherhood now. Julian acted as if he hadn't heard me. "There's nothing between Miranda and me. Believe me, Skylar." That familiar name yanked the thorn buried in my heart. Every fight we'd had over Miranda replayed in my head, the thorn digging deeper. "Julian, I don't care about any of that anymore. I just want a quiet life with Leo." "Don't care? So that includes me?" Julian hooked his fingertip around mine, voice hoarse. "I know I was wrong. Come back. Stand in, whatever." He didn't care anymore. As long as I came back, he'd stop digging for excuses. I pulled my hand away without hesitation. "Julian, we ended a long time ago." He hung his head for a long time. Thinking he'd accepted it, I turned to leave. "Skylar, I was wrong. Even if I was just a stand-in, don't push me away." A choked sob stopped me in my tracks. I looked back, stunned. Tears streamed down Julian's reddened eyes. He looked utterly abandoned. He was crying? Before I could process it, he yanked me into a tight hug. His familiar scent flooded my senses, stirring old memories. "Please give me one more chance. The day I came home and you were gone, I regretted everything. I shouldn't have fought with you. I shouldn't have said those things. I swear I'll never mention the stand-in again. Don't be mad at me, okay?" He kept talking, crying against my shoulder until my head buzzed. When I finally found my voice, I asked, What's stand-in? Julian, what are you talking about? He tightened his arms, almost crushing me. I tried to push him away. Cameron. He didn't budge. I'm not going to run, I added. Only then did he let go. The red rims of his eyes tugged at some distant memory. What's stand-in? I repeated. Reluctantly, he spat out a name. Adrian, your ex. He's not my ex. I blinked. Adrian was my senior in high school. We lost touch after graduation. A flicker of hope lit Julian's dark eyes. You never liked him? I shook my head, completely lost. How did Adrian even factor into this? A small smile tugged at my lips. My glistening eyes seemed to entrance him. He pulled me close again, murmuring, "Then promise you'll never like him." I was floored. Are you insane? Nothing he said made sense. After more incoherent explanations, I finally pieced it together. He'd convinced himself I'd only been with him because I couldn't have Adrian. Leo's waiting for me. I'll come with you. He reached for my hand. I jerked away. We are not back together. I know. He didn't try to hold my hand again, just followed like a shadow. Back inside the reception, Chase intercepted us with champagne. I thought you were in France, he said to Julian. He'd checked. Julian's calendar had him in France today. Otherwise, he'd never have asked me to come. Julian answered with acid sweetness. And I thought you had no idea where Skylar was. She wanted to come back this time, Chase replied. Julian dropped the subject and trailed after me. I chatted with Uncle for a bit until Leo needed the bathroom. Seeing me stand, Julian materialized at my side. You said you wouldn't run. That was 5 minutes ago. I ignored him and headed off with Leo. He stepped in front of me, face grave. Skylar. I'm taking Leo to the restroom. Leo's gaze bounced between us, puzzled. Julian exhaled. Let me. You can't go into the men's room. When Leo was smaller, I'd had no choice but to bring him into the ladies' room. Since starting kindergarten, he'd begun asking, Mom, why do I have to use the girls' bathroom? I'm a big boy. I hesitated, looking down at his confused little face. Mommy, Leo needs to pee. He held my hand with one of his and clutched his pants with the other, dancing from foot to foot. Let me take him, Julian repeated. I sighed, caving. Fine. I'll wait right outside. I stationed myself by the door, terrified Julian might bolt with my child. Leo studied the sign with the little stick man, then squealed. Mom, I get to use the boys' bathroom today. My nose stung. If we weren't in public, I would have cried. Inside, Jay Beck nearly dropped his phone when Julian led Leo Indiana. Dude, whose kid did you kidnap? He's not kidnapped, Julian said calmly, helping Leo inside. Jay connected the dots when he spotted me outside. Holy crap, that's Skylar's son? Julian had zero experience, but Leo managed on his own. Julian only had to supervise hand-washing. Uncle, are you Mommy's friend? Yes, I'm your mom's friend. He almost said Dad, swallowing the word at the last second. When they emerged intact, my clenched fists finally relaxed. Casey, it's the least I can do. For the rest of the evening, Julian shadowed me, grinning like a lottery winner. I couldn't muster a single smile. Stay at the estate tonight, he asked in the elevator. I knew which estate he meant. I haven't agreed to anything, Julian. What's get back together mean, Mommy? Leo piped up. I shot Julian a warning glare before he could answer. You'll understand when you're bigger. I planned to stay at Uncle's through the holiday, but the next morning I changed my mind. The sooner we left Riverdale, the better. At dawn, Leo and I said goodbye and headed for the airport. We kept our masks on, hoping no one would recognize us. As boarding time neared, my nerves settled. Almost time, baby. Let's go. Okay. We were steps from the gate when a familiar voice thundered behind us. Skylar. I didn't need to look. I scooped Leo up and bolted. Yet Julian still caught us. It's the uncle from yesterday, Leo announced. My face darkened. I should have known it wouldn't be this easy. You're leaving again? Where I go is my business. His eyes flicked to Leo. Then he exhaled. Fine. Go. Disbelieving, I sprinted through the gate and didn't breathe until the cabin door shut. Mommy, are we hiding from that uncle? Don't worry, sweetheart. You'll never see him again. I rubbed Leo's back. I like that uncle, he said, eyes sparkling. He took me to the boys' bathroom. My stomach lurched. You like him? Leo nodded emphatically. Uh-huh. He peeled shrimp for me, too. Blood is thicker than water, I thought, dazed. Uncle, Leo squealed. I followed his gaze, and there was Julian, sliding into the seat beside us, as though nothing had happened. Hey, Leo. I gaped. How are you here? Freedom of movement, he said, buckling in. Lucky for him, he bought a ticket on this flight weeks ago as a backup. An hour after takeoff, Leo fell asleep clutching my arm. Pins and needles shot through it, but I didn't dare move. Julian leaned close. Wake him? Your arm must be numb. I frowned. Leo's health was fragile. No way would I disturb his sleep. Meal service arrived. Julian scooped rice onto a spoon and held it to my lips. The smell turned my empty stomach. I'm not hungry. Take it away. Just a bite. I said no. I helped make this kid. Let me help feed him, starting with feeding you. Too tired to argue. I opened my mouth. Leo woke up groggy and saw Julian spoon feeding me. Bite by bite. Daddy. The two syllables, slurred with sleep, made Julian and me jump. I asked, uncertain, Leo, what did you just say? He yawned and stretched. Schwan's daddy feeds her mommy like this. Julian's mouth curved. He secretly tugged my sleeve. I slid my hands into my coat pockets, neither denying nor admitting. Would Leo's growth really be easier with a father around? I asked myself in silence. Could Julian be a good dad? The plane touched down at 8:30 at night. Before we even left the terminal, Julian's phone rang nonstop. At first he ignored it, but after the third ring I guessed who it was. Just answer. He picked up, voice cool and distant. What did the doctor say? I'm out of Riverdale. I'll be back in a few days. Text if anything happens. It had to be Miranda. The fragile beauty was calling again. A pebble seemed to drop in my chest. No sharp pain, just a dull ache. I almost laughed. Julian was no longer mine. So Miranda's calls were none of my business. Watching my face chill, Julian cut the call short after a few clipped sentences. He reached for my hand. I shook him off. I hoisted Leo and quickened my steps, desperate to sever every tie. Skylar, wait. He seized my wrist. I tried to jerk free, only making his grip tighter. Rowan, let me explain. I didn't want to hear. Burdened with Leo, I had to stand there anyway. The hospital called because her condition worsened, and you're only involved because of her brother. Heard it all before. I cut him off, afraid harsher words would reach Leo's ears. Leo's here, Rowan. We stared each other down. Julian caved first. Let me carry him. He's heavy. My right arm throbbed, but I pretended not to hear and kept holding Leo. Children sense tension. Leo did. He patted my cheek. Mommy, Leo can walk. No need, Mommy's got you. I feared my tears would fall any second. How lucky I was to have this sweet, sensible child. Julian shamelessly followed me home and refused to leave. I slammed the gate in his face. If he froze or starved, what was that to me? At worst, the season's mosquitoes would feast on him. Mommy, is Uncle sleeping outside the door? Yes. The instant I set Leo on the sofa, feeling flooded back into my right arm. Leo mumbled, but it's hot outside. I swapped his shoes for slippers and kissed his forehead. Uncle has feet. He'll leave when it's too hot. Go brush and hop into bed. Mommy won't come brush with Leo? Be good. Mommy has work in the study. Brush by yourself. I had revisions on the drawings due before the holiday. In the study, I worked fast, wanting to finish and tuck Leo Indiana. I'd given the nanny the week off, thinking we'd return after National Day. Seeing me disappear, Leo crept to the door and opened it. Julian, afraid Skylar might relent and find him gone, hadn't dared leave. He never expected Leo to be the one to open the gate. Uncle. Leo tilted his head, half hidden behind the door. Julian knelt. Did Mommy tell you to open it? Leo shook his head. I opened it secretly. Alarmed, Julian warned, you mustn't open doors alone. Someone could kidnap me. Mommy says it lots. Leo stepped outside and sat beside him on the step. Then why'd you open it? Leo pondered, then asked hesitantly, Are you my daddy? Julian throttled the surge of emotion. He couldn't answer, without Skylar's consent. Leo pressed. You are, right? Julian stayed silent. I know you are. Auntie Wendy curses Julian, that jerk, all the time, and I heard Mommy say your name. Julian's throat burned. Excuses felt worthless against the debt he owed them. Raising Leo alone for 5 years, Skylar had survived what would break most people. The helplessness he rarely felt now swallowed him whole. Leo. I bolted downstairs when I realized he was gone. Through the gap, I saw the two of them side by side. Mommy. Leo shot up, head drooping. Mosquito bites dotted his forearms. Julian. How dare you coax Leo into opening the door? Look at his arms. Afraid I'd blame the boy and turn Leo against him. Julian said nothing. Leo murmured. I opened it myself. Uncle didn't ask. Panicked, I tugged him inside. What did Mommy say about strangers? Sorry, Mommy, but there were so many mosquitoes on Uncle. The more Leo pled, the more frightened I became. He still didn't know Julian was his father. What if he wanted to leave with him once he found out? Julian stood outside until every light in the house went off and the mosquitoes had claimed their fill. I didn't see Julian for the next 2 days. He'd taken Miranda's call at the airport, probably flown back to Riverdale to be with her. That convinced me locking him out had been the right move. At dusk, I took Leo to the corner market. When we returned, boxes were piled outside the cottage next door. Uncle, Leo squealed. Julian waved. If you need anything, I'm right here. Shameless. The irritation clung to me through dinner and beyond. He kept finding excuses. Toys for Leo, fruit for me. I left everything on the porch to rot. When the fruit spoiled, he tossed it, but new toys kept appearing. On the 4th, Wendy arrived, fresh from vacation. He's the father, let him pay, she declared, hauling the loot inside. I'd already briefed her by phone on the 2nd. Now she wanted to sort Julian out, but I held her back. Ding dong. Expecting no one but Wendy, I knew it was Julian. She flung the door open. You bastard, still showing your face? Julian had begged Wendy plenty while chasing me. I didn't know about Leo, I swear. Skylar broke up with you. Stay gone.
Bang.
The door kissed his nose. For half a month he kept coming. Mrs. Williams, back from leave, finally whispered, Is he the child's father? I shrugged. The father's dead. She clucked, pitying. Handsome, and the boy favors him. Think of yourself, dear. I'd already thought. On our wedding day, wind whipping City Hall while I waited for hours. He never came. I never asked why. He stopped coming home. I still waited nights. Mommy. Uncle left something at the door. Leo, clutching his milk, announced Julian's latest offering. I'd never wished so hard for school days so Leo and I could avoid him. End of the month. Morning drop-off. Julian appeared like clockwork, trailing us at a polite distance. I chased him off, he grinned. It's a free sidewalk. Marry me if you want to boss me. Marry him? So, I could stand him up at City Hall again?
Dream on.
After leaving Leo, he jogged up. I have to go back to Riverdale a few days. We all crave punishment. I'm no exception. What for? Conflicting emotions crossed his face. Company stuff, right? Company named Miranda. Fine. I didn't probe. No need to humiliate myself. That night I couldn't sleep, afraid tossing would wake Leo, so I lay still. A memory surfaced. Dad smashing a glass, roaring at Mom. She's sick. Why goad her? Mom shoved me. Shards sliced my knee. Your precious invalid outweighs us both. Let's die and leave you happy. Everything breakable shattered that night. I rubbed the faint scar on my knee. It throbbed with phantom pain. Saturday, Leo still asleep. I succumbed to weakness. I rang Julian's bell, unsure he'd even returned from Riverdale. The door opened. He stepped out, eyes lighting up. Skylar. He ushered me in, elated. Have you eaten? Let me make you noodles. I shook my head to refuse, but Julian had already stepped into the kitchen. The noodles looked as perfect as ever. After a few bites, I realized the taste hadn't changed at all. Delicious. He didn't ask why I'd come. He just kept watching me with those bright eyes. What time's your flight? 10.
Oh,
I lowered my head and took another sip of broth, 100 things pressing on my chest. I'd planned to confront him, to scream and ask if he'd gone back to take care of Miranda, to curse him until I felt better. The moment I walked in, the urge vanished. Hysterical shouting was too much like my mother, and it terrified me. In the end, I finished the bowl and went home. The days Julian was away, I dreamed constantly. Strange. Before he showed up, I hadn't dreamed in ages. That evening, I picked Leo up from Little. He swung his tiny backpack and said, "Mom, Little assigned homework. We have to bring in a family portrait." Family portrait. I'd never had one as a kid. When's it due? Next Monday. Julian flashed through my mind. I shook my head. No way was I posing with him. A simple family portrait had become a problem. Raising a child was harder than I'd imagined. Suddenly, I thought of Ryan. He was in Eastbrook for a while and owed me favors. But how would I explain him to Leo? Forget it. First, I'd check if Julian was back. Though every part of me resisted, I rang the bell of Julian's estate. No answer the first time. I pressed it twice more, still nothing. He wasn't back. I couldn't call it heartbreak, but I wasn't happy either. Mom, when are we taking the picture? The moment we stepped inside, Leo ran over and hugged my legs. I'll call Uncle and ask. He bounced like a bunny, delighted. I phoned Ryan. He agreed at once. Sunday morning, Ryan picked us up. Leo had been all smiles, but the instant he saw the camera, his face fell. What's wrong, Leo? I'm kinda sleepy. I didn't overthink it. Little kids need lots of rest. Ryan drove. He met my eyes in the rear-view mirror. After this, we'll hit the playground down the street. Yeah. The weather was gorgeous, so I nodded. Great idea. It's been ages. Leo sat quietly in his car seat, no protest. I assumed he was fine. Yet once the shoot ended, he yawned and begged to go home and nap. Ryan sighed gently. Next time, promise. Okay. I felt bad. I'd wanted to buy him lunch. On the drive back, I rode shotgun, Leo in back. As we neared my gate, I spotted Julian. He saw me too. His face darkened visibly. A petty spark of joy flared in me. I admit it. He'd rushed off to Miranda, without a thought for us. Uncle, Leo shouted, pressing against the window. Ryan had seen Julian once on my Instagram. Softly, he asked, "Your ex?" I gave a tiny nod. Yeah. The car stopped. Ryan said, "Skylar, call me anytime you need another family portrait." I blinked, and only after he drove away did I realize what he'd meant. Julian stood a few yards off, eyes blazing, making my skin prickle. His scowl was thunderous, a storm about to break. "Skylar, we need to talk."
what now?
I sent Leo inside. I knew that tone. Julian on the edge of jealousy. He stepped close, black eyes locked on mine. Who is he? The stepdaddy audition? Exactly the script I expected. I lifted my chin. None of your business. His brows slammed together. He's my son. How is that none? I could almost hear his controls snapping. One more syllable, and he'd detonate. The thought of him losing it made me want to laugh. Who says he's yours? I'd never actually told him Leo was his. Skylar. My name cracked like a whip. What? Speak or let me go nap. Suddenly I was jerked forward. Julian hauled me against him. Before I could react, his hand cupped the back of my head and his hot mouth crashed over mine, prying my lips apart.
NMPH.
Jerk. He was too strong. I couldn't breathe, the metallic bite of blood flooding my mouth. TSH. Smack. Julian, and my palm left a crimson print on his cheek. He smiled, tasting blood. Worth it. This was the Julian I remembered. Recent docility had almost convinced me he'd been replaced. Psycho. I spun away. He yanked me back. Cameron. He laughed low, half mad. You took a family portrait with him? I refused to waste words. He hadn't even been home. What the hell counts as family without me? I struggled. His arms only tightened. Portraits are with me, period. Based on what? We were over. He didn't give orders anymore. His eyes narrowed to slits. Refuse and I march inside right now and tell Leo I'm his father.
Damn.
Totally something he'd do. We already finished the shoot. How do I explain a do-over? Julian's grin turned smug. He already knows who I am. I froze. Leo knows. From day one. Thank your best friend for cursing me by full name. He looked ready to drag us back to the studio that second. Since the cat was out, I caved and agreed to an extra photo that afternoon. After the father-son recognition, Julian grew brazen. He'd stride in even when Wendy was there. She scolded him. He'd puff up. I'm here to see my boy. Problem? One afternoon, I napped on the couch and woke to find Julian staring. I yelped. Knock next time. Okay. He brushed a kiss to my cheek, his new favorite trick. At first I slapped him. He seemed to enjoy it and got handsier. Beat me all you want. In the kitchen he'd trap me from behind, roaming palms. Julian, don't push it. Hit me. My face is thick. His mouth trailed ear to throat. My body betrayed me. I was losing it. Leo was out, and for a few shameless hours I floated outside myself. Post-shower, Julian emerged in a towel, water beading down his neck. Visual overload. Free tomorrow afternoon? Casual, like asking for the weather forecast. Why? Let's go get married at City Hall. Zero surprise. I'd always known loving him would be cyclical. Still, hard pass. Miranda was a splinter I couldn't ignore until she was handled. No vows. Call it a high-end one-night stand. I could cover the fee. Paid her off, he said, smug.
Oh.
Chase had tipped me weeks ago. My reaction stayed flat. Oh. He parroted, offended. I never said Miranda was the reason. Partly true, just not the whole truth. Skylar. He whined my name. I don't feel like it. Paperless Julian was easier to manage. Post-license, I couldn't be sure he'd stay this docile. Breakup lines flashed in my head. Terror left over from childhood. What happened when Miss Stand-in number 2 or number 3 appeared? Would divorce roll off his tongue just as easily? So we drifted in ambiguity for a year. For Leo's sake, I let him tag along to parent-teacher conference when I was in a generous mood. Leo's teacher called him my husband. I didn't correct her, only said he was Leo's father. In private, I told Leo we hadn't gotten married at City Hall yet. He shrugged. He had a mom and dad like everyone else. When I scolded Julian, Leo backed me up. Dad, you can't even do that. No wonder mom ignores you. After a year of secrecy, Julian's parents found out and bombarded me with calls pleading his case. I took Leo to Riverdale for a visit without telling Julian. I assumed his parents would squeal, but they didn't. We spent days at the Voss estate and nights at the Quinn house. Mrs. Voss tried to slide a jadeite bangle on my wrist. I refused. Seasons flipped. Another new year arrived. Looking back at the day I'd been stood up at City Hall now made me laugh. The one losing sleep over our lack of papers had become Julian. Sweet, sweet reversal. Wendy joked I'd trained him into a puppy. When Leo hit second grade, the ruby engagement ring I'd left in the Voss estate villa found its way back onto my finger. Not because Julian sweet-talked me. Practicality dictated the kid deserved a legitimate name, and the man's non-stop proposals were exhausting. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more.
See you next time.